Hello and welcome to another episode of Best Bets. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary, joined as always by Newsday's NFL pick columnist Joe Manniello. Joe, how are you?
Doing good, Matt. How are you?
Doing pretty good. A solid, look at that, 5-0 week for you last week, Joe. You love to see it.
Can you believe it? 0-5, the rare 0-5 earlier in the year and 5-0. So it felt good to get back on track.
Love that. So 29, 38, and 2 so far. I went 3-2, 39, 28, and 2 for me. So far this year. All right, let's hop into it. We will start with the two locals. The Jets are in action back in the 1 o'clock slate, taking on the Houston Texans. The Texans are 3.5-point favorites on the road. What's your feel for this game?
Yeah, I said it last week. I'm not taking the Jets again this year. I don't think. I just don't see total team dysfunction this week. There's a report that Zach Wilson didn't even want to start again. Now he is starting. I guess him starting over Boyle or Simeon is that much of an improvement that the line dipped from 5.5 to 3.5. I'm not sure it should dip that much. I see a lot of people saying the Texans are going to have to win a close one. Jets defense still playing hard. Texans lost to star rookie receiver Tank Dell last week. I get all that, but they're 7-5 and they're fighting for a wild card spot or even to win the division now that Trevor Lawrence is hurt. So I think they have so much more to play for. The Jets 4-8. They scored 10 touchdowns all year. The worst output in over 30 seasons, something like that. I don't have the exact numbers, but every week it's like 8, 9, 10, 12 points. I mean, I don't trust this offense to score more than 10, 13 points. So even if the Texans win 17-13, we cover. I see like a 20-10 kind of game, 17-10, something like that. I just don't think maybe Zach Wilson didn't want to start. It just shows you everything about this Jets team. It's been an awful, awful season. A lot of it's because Aaron Rodgers got hurt, but they could have done so many different things. And the Texans are a well-coached team. It's amazing. DeMeco Ryans and Salas, they're both former defensive coordinators for the 49ers. First year, number 2 pick. He gets C.J. Stroud. He gets Zach Wilson. It's just been the exact opposite. And I think the Texans, they found ways to win these close games. Last week they beat the Broncos, who had won 5 straight. So I just think they're the better team, and they'll find a way. Even if it's going to be an ugly game, I think they find a way and cover this spread.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I've seen a lot of people say, like, oh, this could be a trap game for the Texans. They're going on the road, cold, rainy weather, young team that's used to playing in a dome. Maybe they're kind of overlooking the Jets. I don't see that at all. The Jets have scored 13 or less points in 6 straight games. I don't know how that's going to change going back to Zach Wilson. They were scoring that many points or lack thereof of points with Zach. They're doing it without him. I don't really see much of a difference if he comes back in and, versus what we saw from Tim Boyle and Trevor Simeon. I understand that Robert Saleh believes that Zach Wilson gives the team the best chance to win, and he's probably right with that with the other, 2 quarterbacks on the roster. But, I just have no faith in this offense. The defense will play hard. They always do. Special teams is pretty good, but I don't see this Texans team who, as you said, they're still alive in the division, especially with Trevor Lawrence going to miss some time. And, the Colts are 7-5. The Texans are 7-5. They're right there in a really tough division. Those 3 teams might make the playoffs. All 3, the 4 from the AFC South, which I don't think anyone would have predicted before the season. But yeah. I just don't see how the Jets keep this one close enough to cover the number. 23-10, 23-13, something like that. I don't think this is the week the Jets are getting over 13 points. And also not really known for their defense, Houston, but they've created a lot of turnovers the last few weeks. And unfortunately, Zach Wilson's been pretty turnover prone. So something else to keep an eye on this game. As for the New York Giants, a Monday night game for the Giants. They're at home. Tommy DeVito starting against the Green Bay Packers, who are red hot. What's your feel in this game?
I mean, the Giants haven't lost in almost a month. I think it'll be 30 days on Monday night. But that's, they played the Commanders, the Patriots, and had a bye. I mean, the Giants, good for them. They not going to go 2-15, but they're still one of the worst teams in the NFL. And I give the Packers credit, man. I was shocked that they beat Detroit. To me, that was the biggest surprise of the season, in my opinion. And I guess I just underestimated Green Bay. I mean, give them credit. They're definitely making the playoffs. If you look at their schedule, as long as they remain healthy, Jordan Love's playing great. They just beat the Chiefs on Sunday night, following up that great Thanksgiving win to 6-6. They're beating the Giants here. I'm laying the number here. I think it's Giants are up a bye. I don't think it matters. Matt LaFleur, the Packers coach, is an incredible 16-0 in December since taking over in 2019. He's never lost a game in December. And then, like I said, it tells you he gets better as the season goes on. I mean, obviously it helps to have Aaron Rodgers, but Jordan Love is playing great right now. Defense has improved, and I think they're a better team than most people realize. And you look at the number, you're like, wow, 6.5 on the road. it's hard to cover that kind of spread, but yeah, I think they'll do. I just don't see the Giants scoring enough points. Maybe like a 24-10 kind of game, something like that, 24-13. I mean, Tommy DeVito, great story and all, but the Giants just don't have enough talent or weapons on each side. I just feel like the Packers, one of those teams getting hot at the right time, and I don't see them slowing down here. They need to keep winning to get in the playoffs. So I'll lay the 6.5.
Yeah, I'm going to do it also. I know, for a road team, that's usually a number that I would be a little bit nervous about. But I think the Packers have been playing, great football. They won 3 in a row against the Chargers. Detroit was, as you mentioned, one of the surprises of this season. Kansas City, they beat up on and won 27-19. And Jordan Love has 8 touchdowns, no interceptions in his last 3 games. He's been stellar. After losing to Pittsburgh and throwing a couple interceptions in a tough game, he's been really good for, pretty much ever since then. And I think they're hitting their stride at the perfect time. That's a great stat with LaFleur going into December. And you're right. You look at some of the teams that they're playing down the stretch here. They get the Panthers again, the Bucks, who have slowed down after a better start to their season. I absolutely think that this is a team that's going to make the playoffs. And, I just don't see the Giants being able to score enough points to do it. I know they put up 31 against Washington. That was just such a weird game. They won a 10-7 game against New England before the bye week, but I think this is like a 27-14 kind of game. I just think the Packers are the much better team here. We got 2 games of the week this week. Excited to get into it. First, we will start with an NFC East rivalry game, the Eagles and the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites. What's your feel for this?
Yeah, I like the Cowboys here. Actually, kind of, I won't say a lot, but I like them. Feel pretty confident here. 3.5 is one of those numbers, we talk about. We'd rather be 2.5, but I don't know. I feel like the last time they played, Week 9, Dallas lost that game 28-23. It was like a typical Eagles game this year. Like, they won, but you kind of like left that game saying, wow, they were lucky to win that game. Cowboys left a ton of points on the board. They had a 4th and 1 touchdown from the 4th and goal from the 1 touchdown overturned. Dak Prescott stepped out of bounds. Anything on the play before that, possibly. In the final play of the game, CeeDee Lamb was tackled at the 4. I mean, the Cowboys could have won that game. And to me, they're very, very even teams here. And the Eagles, I don't want to say exposed, because I think that's too strong of a word. But the 49ers last week just torched them. And I think if Dallas has the same amount, similar offensive weapons with the speed, and I can see them just getting off to a fast start here. And they've been great at home, 6-0, all blowouts except for last Thursday night game. Seattle played great in that game, 41-35. So I just think it's going to be one of those instant classic kind of games, high scoring. Maybe, I don't know, like 38-31, something like that. I just think Dallas is better than people think. This whole idea that Dak Prescott can't win the big game, all that kind of stuff. But I think this is like Dallas is this is their chance. I mean, they win, they're tied for first. I don't know if they have the tiebreaker or conference record, but they lost to the Cardinals and 49ers. But they'll both be 10-3, so it'll basically be a tie. And I just think that the way they played at home, I feel like it's a big home field advantage. And the Eagles, as great as they've been, 10-2, I just don't think that people should pick the Eagles because they're 10-1. How could they lose 2 games in a row? I mean, if you follow the NFL every week, they could have lost. They lost to the Jets. They could have lost to the Commanders twice. They've been involved in a ton of games. They somehow beat the Chiefs in that game. They outplayed the whole game. But I just like the Cowboys, and I think this is Dak Prescott's game. ESPN's going to be talking about on Monday. Oh, is Dak Prescott the MVP? Can they win the Super Bowl? Stephen A. Smith will be talking about it all day on Get Up. So I just feel like this is their week, and things are going to change in the NFC landscape. So I'm taking the Cowboys minus the 3.5. I'll call it. Let's go 38-31.
All right. See, I'm going to go on the other side. We're going to change a little bit here. I'm going to take the Eagles plus 3.5. I love getting the hook with the 3 points because I do think this is going to be a really tight game. But I lean the Eagles here. I think they win this one outright in a really tight game. But when you look at it, over the Cowboys have scored 41, 45, 33, 49, 23, and 43 points in their last 6 games. The 23 was against the Eagles. And as you mentioned, they were able to, or they left points on the board. They weren't able to capitalize in some situations. But I just think the Eagles are a team that could give the Cowboys some problems with how they play on the defensive side of the ball. They have a really good defensive line that matches up well against a really good Cowboys offensive line, where some of these other teams that they've been beating up on, they don't have the same pass rush on the defensive side that the Eagles do. So I think that's going to play a factor in this game. And I think the Eagles losing the way that they did, 42-19, and getting embarrassed in their own building was honestly kind of what this team needed. I think they were getting a little too cocky, especially their head coach.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
And I think they need to be humbled a little bit. So getting back on track against a divisional opponent. It's on the road, so that, in Dallas, we know how good Dallas is down there. But I really do think that this Eagles team kind of needed to be humbled a little bit. And hopefully it's something that, wakes them up. But I agree. I think it's going to be a really tight game. These teams are evenly matched. But I like the Eagles coming off a game where they got embarrassed and coming back with a win here. So I'll go 30-27. Eagles win late on a field goal.
Okay.
Let's do Chiefs and Bills. The Bills coming out of the bye. The Chiefs are 1.5-point favorites at home. Small spread. What's your feel for this game?
I've been picking the Chiefs basically every week this season. They were my pick to win the Super Bowl. And, we talked about Mahomes, like he never really loses back-to-back games. But I'm going to go with the gut instinct here. I like the Bills. I feel like this is their season. 6-6. They should have beaten the Eagles 2 weeks ago. They had their bye last week. They've had 2 weeks to, have that stew. That overtime loss in the rain. Another one the Eagles pulled out of the hat. But I don't know. The Chiefs, to me, everyone's saying all year, I've kind of been saying, they'll be fine. The offense, something's wrong with that offense. They don't have a true number one receiver. As great as Mahomes is, we saw last week, he can only do so much, and you don't have the weapons. And they lost to the Packers, and the defense hasn't been as great as it was. So I'm taking the Bills here. I just feel like, they've won there before. They won there last year. They had that heartbreaking loss in overtime a couple of years ago in the playoffs, so they know they can go to Arrowhead. They're not afraid of Arrowhead. They played there enough, and this is their season, 6-6, and they still have the Cowboys and the Dolphins, so they need to win this game. I just read another guy's picks from the Ringer. He said that they have a 12% chance to make the playoffs right now at 6-6. So if they lose Sunday, just forget about it. So I feel like this is their season, and the way the Chiefs have played. I mean, part of me just wants to say, all right, I'll just trust Mahomes and Reed at home. They always get it done. But, that was last week. The loss to the Packers is kind of alarming to me. So I just feel like the Bills have so much for this game. They need to win this game. And I think they give it all-out effort here. It's their season. This is their season. If they don't win here, they're not making the playoffs. So that's my logic behind it. So I'll take the Bills to win outright. I don't know, 27-24, something like that.
Okay. I'm going to go on the opposite side here. Again, going head-to-head here. I like it. I'm going to take the Chiefs minus 1.5. A couple things. I hear you. I'm a little bit nervous with the Chiefs right now because especially in the second half of these games, they are not putting up points, which is very, very surprising for them. But I love that it's a small number, that it's only 1.5 points, because I think this is going to be a tight game, close game. As you said, the Bills are pretty much playing for their playoff lives. But the Chiefs' defense has been the story this year, and they played really well. Outside of last week, Jordan Love goes for 27 points in a surprising loss to the Green Bay Packers. But something that Josh Allen's really struggled with this year is turnovers. He has 13 interceptions in 12 games. And I think that the Chiefs defense, a difference in this game is going to be they're going to be able to create turnovers. And while Buffalo, they're offensively, they have been much better since making the offensive coordinator change. On the defensive side of the ball, they're still struggling. They're still giving up points. They gave up 37 to the Eagles. The Jets only put up 6, but the Jets are the Jets. 24 to Denver, 24 to Cincinnati. I think there really is something different about that Buffalo defense when missing Matt Milano. He's really the heart and soul of that team. And I think that's going to be a really big difference in this one. So I think it's going to be a tight game. I'll go 27-24. Oh yeah, there we go. Perfect. I don't feel that I don't have a great feel on it. This isn't one of my best bets of the week, but my reasoning behind leaning Chiefs is more of a anti-Bills defense and my fear of Josh Allen having a big turnover late. So Bills can win it, but I like the Chiefs in this one.
Gotcha.
Let's go to a best bet. We're just going to do best bets this week. We did 2 game of the weeks instead of the best bet and underdog pick. So what's your best bet this week?
Well, I was going to have the Texans be my best bet, but 0-2 with them this year, so I kind of wanted to get that win. But then the line moved to 3.5 and 5.5, so it kind of scared me off a little bit. I could see them winning by, field goal now or something like that. Everyone's right. So I'm going to go with another team that I feel like the spread is wrong here. So To me, it's very rare that Vegas gets it wrong. But and I'm probably those words will probably haunt me when I get it wrong. But I love Bengals getting a 1.5 at home against the Colts. Why are the Colts 1.5 point road favorites at the Bengals? Like I say, they blocked 2 punts against the Titans, and even though I had the Colts last week, they don't deserve to be road favorites at Cincinnati. Cincinnati just had one of the best wins of the season. Jake Browning, backup quarterback, had the game of his life, 32 37, 354, and a touchdown to beat Jacksonville in overtime. I know Trevor Lawrence got hurt, but I think that was like a tie game when he got hurt, right? I had those off that night, but he played great. So the fact that he, after the Pittsburgh game, they lost 16-10, they probably thought, all right, the season's over, Joe Burrow's out. Now this guy, Browning, had a great game. I'm like, wait a second, we're 6-6, we're at home against the 7-5 Colts, who, let's face it, have had a nice little season, but they're not as good as their record. I don't think 7-5. I mean, they could easily be 5-7. So we have a chance to get to 7-6 here, stay in the wild card race. And I just don't get why the Colts are favored here. I think the Bengals are the better team, so it's weird. They're at home getting points, and they're the better team. So for me, it's like almost too good to be true kind of thing. I've been, maybe it'll backfire, but I love the Bengals this week. I think they keep it going. That's the kind of win you build off of this late in the season. I don't believe in like the letdown theory this late in the season when you're fighting for your playoff life. So I like the Bengals to keep it going here. It'll be close because the Colts are a well-coached team. They got some good players. Minshew has done well. And, it's a battle of the backup quarterback. So I think like 23-17, something like that, 24-17. But I like the Bengals to win again and keep it going.
All right, there we go. I love the reasoning behind that one. For me, I'm going to ride with the team I've been riding with. This will be 3 weeks in a row that they are my best bet. It screwed me the first time. Second time, it hit for me. So I am now an honorary Detroit Lions fan, I guess, because I'm taking them again. Detroit -3 against the Bears. The last time these two teams played, it was a tight game, 31-26. It was, a little nutty at the end. The Chicago probably should have won that game. But I think this line is off. I think it should be a little bit higher, and it was, and the line moved down a little bit.
I think the weather's supposed to be bad, though, I heard.
Okay. Well, I still think this offense is going to be good enough to score more points than what Chicago's going to be able to. They scored 30 or more in 3 of their 4 games since the bye. The only one they didn't was against the Packers. And for Chicago, I know they played them tough the last time, and they're coming off a bye, but they've scored 20 points or less in 4 of their last 5. I think they're going to kind of tail off here towards the end. I know Justin Fields is back, but I think they're going to end up moving off of him at the end of the year. And I like the Lions on the road to win. I'll go 24-17. Not a crazy high-scoring game, but I just don't think the Bears are going to be able to score enough, which would be, I think, in this one to get over 20 points to cover the number.
Gotcha.
All right, let's go through these real quick. Both Joe and I on the Texans, -3.5 over the Jets. Packers, -6.5 over the Giants. Head-to-head matchups, Eagles and Cowboys. I like the Eagles, +3.5. Joe is on the Cowboys, -3.5. Chiefs and Bills. I'm taking the Chiefs, -1.5. Joe is on the Bills. Best bet, Lions, -3 for me. And Joe is going with the Bengals, +1.5. Joe, I appreciate you joining me as always. We'll talk again next week.
All right, Matt. Thank you.